Let me know when you're ready to go.
Do you have anything to say, or do you want to just start out with questions?
Those questions.
What happened?
So we had this was the first leaders meeting of this year, at least anything that was in person. I thought most revealing was the fact when I asked the governor and the other legislative leaders, the Democrat legislative leaders, what were they interested in working in on a bipartisan basis. The only thing that was brought up was us supporting their current ethics proposal, and there was nothing else of the sort that was really brought up. And I was disappointed in that this is something where the governor and the legislative leaders have talked about a new time and a new phase really in Springfield, and unfortunately it seems that at the end of the day what they're interested in is really not Republican input, but in simply moving on their own agenda.
But your deputy leader, Sue Resin, I mean, she's helping with energy legislation, so you're saying that they didn't signal that they wanted input with energy stuff? I
asked in a general fashion, in what ways would you like to work together? And the only response was ethics, nothing of the sort in regards to other things. There was a little bit on budget, but other than that, no one else really spoke.
Your big question for your district, brought up on
Yes. Do you want to comment on that? Do you want to move this?
Yes. I reminded the governor that it's important that he keep the commitment that he has made previously to the people of Illinois on maps. And he said that he will veto an unfair map. And I asked him, what is unfair? And really didn't get much of a response. But I also think it's important that when we make commitments that we follow through, whether it's on fair maps. But 2 years ago, the House Republicans negotiated with him on the capital program, and we added a number of pro-business incentives. Now he is looking at those as corporate loopholes and is considering removing them and eliminating those programs. So again, it's about making sure the governor understands that when you give your word, you make an agreement, you stick by it. So that was my goal today, was just to remind him that we've had previous conversations, and despite the economic climate, your word is your word. And the House Republicans put a lot of votes on that capital program a couple of years ago, and we made them look good. So I don't think it's fair that all of a sudden these are being placed or dangled in front of us for support of a budget, which we're not quite sure what kind of budget we are going to have. So I also asked when we're going to see the first light of day of the maps, and the response was when they're ready. So we're not part of that process. Despite the statements that have been made, the Republicans are not part of any map drawing process. We know that there's this something called the map room across the street, which none of us have been privy to. And I also mentioned that these hearings, that the only things that have been consistently said is that you can't use the ACS data. That's from the advocates. And also that we shouldn't be in the business of drawing maps. No one seemed to want to discuss that any further after what I had made that statement. So.
Well, May 31st is so far away. When you get to May 30th, it's like, okay, we're in the sixth inning. And now we're not even in the first inning. How can you guys be so pessimistic at this early juncture?
On maps?
On anything?
Anything. Look, I've been here a few times, and what I do know is that when you're excluded from the table or not invited to the table, there is a certain level of pessimism that goes along with it. So despite the gleeful rhetoric that I'm hearing from the Democrats and the governor about, the Republicans need to be at the table, you got to get invited first. And we have not been invited to anything meaningful on any significant issue. Maps and budgets just starting right now, but again, they are doing it on their own, and we'll just have to see how this plays out. We're willing to work with them, again, if it's fair, but at this moment, I can't say that we're going down that path that we did in 2019.
Well, what's the mix like in there with 3 new leaders?
Interesting. I know I'm the oldest. Yeah, I am. But look, it's they're all outstanding. They're very good. Each one of them brings a different perspective, and I hope that we can work in a very collegial manner over the next month.
Thank you.